G'day folks, in this video I'll show how you can solve the crazy grills Venus. Well, on this crazy Venus cube we have the white face and the opposite yellow face, which are one faces. All those circle parts turn when the face turns. So we've sort of got top and bottom as one faces. All the central layer faces are zero faces, and you can see that they do not turn at all, the circle parts in there. So this is different to the Earth puzzle, which had a white and a green, so two adjacent faces, which were the one faces. Here we have the opposite faces, and it does add a different challenge to the whole thing. So it's still not one that I would call a super difficult one, but it's a nice challenge and it's a nice puzzle to just learn a few new things. So I'm going to start by solving the triangles. And in this one, because of the nature of the one faces, the fact that they're opposite, what we know is that the triangles can move around anywhere in their own half. In other words, a blue triangle here can obviously go there, but it can be taken by the white face to anywhere over here. But that blue triangle cannot get down to the bottom, to the yellow face region. And that's why if we look, we'll see if we look at the bottom half, we'll see four yellows, we'll see two oranges. So there's one, there's the other. We'll see two greens, one, two reds, one, two, and two blues. They stay in their own half. And so the sensible thing to do here is basically to solve each half. So I'll solve the yellow half first, and we just do that in the way that we would normally aim to do it. There's an orange there. I'll use this yellow face to move the orange into position by turning the corner up and putting it down. Very, very simple. Same with the blue. I'm always just looking to see what is sitting on that yellow face. There's a red there. That frees up a blue, which I can now put back in. And there's still a green to go. And we look around, all the yellows have automatically been done. Now we can turn it upside down and do precisely the same thing on the white face. There's a green one here waiting to be put in. There's a red. Turn around, we'll do an orange, which will of course free up that red to be put back in. And I reckon we've got two to go. A blue one first, and oh no, three to go. There's the orange, and finally this green. Okay, so we can look around, all the triangles are now done. Well, the next stage is that we want to check for a single twisted corner, and it's just far easier to do the check now and to fix it now than it is to fix it right at the end, when it is really literally the last thing that happens. Everything else is solved and you've got to go and fix up a bunch of stuff. So what I want to do here is check by looking at the overall rotation of corners. So I first want to place the white corners onto the white face in their positions, whether they're correctly oriented or not. So I've got a couple here, but they're not in their position. So white, blue, red, just going to turn that into position with an up, up, down, down. That does happen to be oriented correctly, so fine. This one here. And again, if I can get them oriented correctly, I will. At the end of the day, it's just sort of less numbers to count. The white, green, red. I could orient this correctly if I did three of these up, up, down, downs, but I cannot be bothered. So one's enough. In fact, what have I done? I've put the white, green, orange. Don't know if that white, green, orange was the wrong one under there or what's going on, but the white, green, red's now correctly in position. I'll move just to show. I could turn it up like that, put the white on top, but I'm quite happy just to turn it up the other way Okay, so I've got a couple that are correct, a couple that are not. Now, on the yellow face, I just want to make sure that I'm in some kind of 3 cycle. So, for example, I'll just check if any are in position, and I do have the yellow, blue, red in position. Do I have any others? Doesn't look like it. The green, orange goes here, the green, red goes here, and the blue, orange goes there. So that is a 3 cycle. That's the sort of thing I want. If I was to have 2 in position and the other 2 swapped, I would need to turn the yellow face 1 turn just to fix that first. But as it is now, I'm ready to count the overall number of twists. What I'm looking for is 0 or 3 or -3. So anything with the white or yellow on top is a 0. So that's 0, that's 0. This has been twisted clockwise, so let's call that +1. Clockwise as well, so that's another +1, giving me +2. Come to the yellow face. This has been twisted anti-clockwise, so that's a -1. So we're now down to overall +1. This has been twisted clockwise, so that is a +1. So we're back up to +2. This has been twisted clockwise as well. That's a +1. We are now +3, which is the same as 0. So we're good. There are no fixes needing to be done here. And just to explain why +3 is the same as 0, that's currently 0, +1, +2, +3. We're back to where we started. So because there are no fixes here, I don't need to do anything. But if I did, let's say that I was a +1 or a -1 or something, I would need to twist a corner. In this case, any corner would do because I can get the triangles back. I would twist a corner in whatever direction I needed and then resolve the triangles very simply. But as we've seen, their overall twists are 0, so we will not have a single twisted corner at the end. We are good to continue. Well, the next stage is the circle edge wings, and it's a little bit different here, particularly with the yellows. What I want to do with the yellows is pair them up on the white face as a pair rather than trying to put them in separately, and then proceed as normal after that. So for example here, I would initially, I've already got one pair that happens to be in place. I'd look for something like this, go find another yellow that can rotate around on top of it, and I'll put it there to pair it up. And yes, I've twisted the corner. However, I'm about to untwist it. So I want to pull that pair out of there, put it over here. Now that's been done. I can untwist this corner, and of course that's going to keep the overall twist at 0, which is what I need. That yellow pair can now just be turned down into its position. Here's another one. I want to find another corner that I can use to pair exactly the same thing. And undo the twists. Now this one can go into that position, so I'll just turn it around on the white face, put it in there. So that's 3 pairs done. Now the last pair is probably not a pair, but again, we've got a single here. We don't have the other single on the upper face. Where is it? It's down here on the lower face. So what I want to do here is just temporarily twist that up so that I can move this yellow up to the top. Now you'll notice that it has pulled other yellows out, but because this is a 0 face, when I turn that face to move this to the top, it does not affect that. So I'll put that to the top, turn it off and undo, and then I can put that corner back down. Those yellows are in place. Okay, so I did have one there. Again, I've now got this one in place. I can repeat. That's now sitting there, and I can basically turn that around. Before I turn that around, nearly forgot, rotate that corner back. And that was the good thing about doing the triangles first, is you can see when something's out. Okay, now I'm ready to rotate. Okay, those yellows are in. Well, the next bit is to do these lower layer ones, and this is fairly straightforward. What I want to do is consider this needs to be a red. So I'm going to turn that bottom corner to there. That orange piece needs to be replaced with a red. So I'm just following it around and saying, is there a red there or there or there or there? Well, of course there is, it's right here. So once I've turned that corner, I just do any kind of cycle to place that red piece into that position and bring it back. Undo the corner turn, and that red has been placed. I'd look for the same thing over here, and that's the position I'm trying to fill. Well, there's a red here that can come around to there. That's done. So there's two reds there. Next is blue. I do have a blue up here. That blue is going to actually be this one. And I can actually turn it. Go. That red piece needs to be replaced with the blue. Go and put that back. I don't have a blue piece up there for that at the moment, so I'll just move on. I definitely have an orange piece for that. So we'll move that up, put this one on, undo. And I can do the same thing for the next orange piece, which goes to here. Now, remember I started, I think, with the reds. Got one of the blues done, so we've still got one of them to do. There is a blue up there now, so I could have a look at that. And in fact, that blue is the correct one. So I can move that up. That's opposite, so it's always going to go to that correct position. Okay, done the oranges, got a couple of greens to do now. Let's have a look. This one will go to there. Yeah, that's the right green. And the last green at the bottom here, I don't have one on top. So I can just look anywhere else I want. There's a green here. I can move that up to the top face, take it off, and see if it's the correct one. And it's actually not, because it's going to land there, which is not the correct one. So I'll grab this one here and take this one up. That must be the correct one. So when I come with that position, I can turn it up knowing that there's going to be a piece there that will work. Put it back down, turn across. The yellows are all still there, and this lower layer is now all done. The reason I did that first was because it's slightly harder than the next little bit, sort of the lower equator pieces. They don't need a turn ahead of time. So no greens there on that side. This side, I do have a green sitting over here, so turn it up, put it on, replace, that's it. There's a red. There'll definitely be another red. There's a blue here. And that's the other blue. And you can see how quick this is. Now that orange, that's not the correct one, but it is the correct one for this position. So I'll turn it off. And you'll notice another orange has come back up there, which will in fact be the correct orange for over here. How are we going? Nearly done, just got one green to do, and now we do have that green piece up where we need it. And that should be the entire lower half done. Okay, now we move to the upper half. We've kind of already seen how to achieve this in the sense that we did the yellows. We paired the yellows up. What we're kind of doing here is making pairs. So let's find one that I can use. I've got reds and blues up here at the moment. So let's see, there is a... Is that the correct one? No, that's the correct one for here. And the reason for that is that it will turn on this corner down into that position. So what I want to do is just turn it down to make the pair, and then take this pair out, put it over there. Then I can return the corner, and I can go ahead and put it back in. Now we have a look, all the yellows are still there. Everything on the lower half is still there. Now most of the time that will work. So there's actually two methods here. Certainly for this upper layer that won't work, this bit here, but I will see what I can do. If there's another one of them that I can do, that one will turn to there. So let's go ahead. The thing that we're watching, of course, is when I turn this down, you can see there's a couple of pieces there that come into play. So that green piece has not been done, and actually neither has the white one. So in this case, those two pieces are not relevant. So this will work just fine. I can take that out, put it up the top, then return my corner and now place it again, because those two pieces have not been affected. So that's those reds done. There's blues are done. Let's see if we can grab this blue. Has got to go to there. So once again, I'm going to turn this blue down to here, and the pieces that come up are this blue and this white. Well, if we look where they came from, the blue's there, not interested. The white, well, that hasn't been done either. So this should cause no issues. So we do that to get it set, return the corner, and now grab it again. Okay, so that's done, all the reds, all the blues. The next one will be this orange. Let's see if we do have a correct piece. We do have a correct piece there. Now this time, this is going to be a little bit more interesting because we do have that blue that's already done. So if I turn that orange down like that, that blue has been taken out. And what will happen is if I try and take this over to here, let's see what happens when I do that. If I move this to here, then this is coming to there, this is going down here to that position. What happens then is that I do need to turn the corners back. And so there is a chance that one of these blues will be mucked up. And because of that, when I get to around this point, I don't want to do that method anymore. What I want to do is a slightly different method, which is essentially going to say, let's cycle. I'll just look at the two pieces that I'm interested in, the orange and the white, and then find a third one, which is sort of opposite or on the same orbit as that orange piece. In this case, I'll use the white over on the back here. I could, of course, happily use a white here. Perhaps I'll use that white. So my piece movement is going to be the white to the orange down to here, and this white back to there. Now, I don't care about the whites at all. I just want to make sure the orange lands there. So because that is the movement, I want to do this face turn first. And what I'm going to do is an up turn, and then front two, an up prime, and a front two. Now, what's that done? It's actually put my orange piece down the bottom here, waiting for now, when I turn the corner and put the orange position up there. What I'm going to do now is return that orange piece to there, and in so doing, put back the yellows. So I just undo whatever face moves I did. That one, then that one, then that one, then that one. So the yellows are back. Now when I return my corner, that orange is in place, and it hasn't disrupted anything over here that I've already done. Okay, now there's no oranges up there at the moment, so I'll ignore that. What about a green? There's also no greens. I'll ignore them. I've done the two reds, I've done the two blues. So now I've got no other real choice than to sort of take some from here, or potentially to grab an orange from here and bring it out and then move it in. But it probably makes more sense to actually place some of these upper layer ones here. So at this point, I would look around and say, you know what, there's two greens there. I'm going to turn this upper layer like that and say those two greens are now placed. Just leaves me a little bit less work to do. So let's see what we've got. I know that this position requires a red. And if I think where that turns to, it turns to that white piece there, which is in the same orbit as the red piece. That's good. That means I can happily go orange to white to red. And the red will come back to here. And because it's orange to white, my first turn is that corner turn. And now I want to move the red into place with face turns. By the way, I can't simply do that because it'll knock out triangles. So this is why I must do a face turn, take it off, undo, bring it back. Returns that triangle there. Okay, turn it down into position and now put the yellows back. Okay, so that's done that particular red, which is good. I needed to do that anyway. It's also brought out an orange. Let's see if that can now help us. It can help us because we've got this green wanting to go up to there, and that's in the same line as the orange. Now, unfortunately, when I do this corner turn, I don't want to involve any edges that are on that corner turn. So I don't want to be involving that edge or that edge. I want my other piece to be here or here. And so there's a couple of things that I can do. The most logical here is to move that orange piece over to this side. And I can do that with a setup of up to, left to, up to, left to. Of course, it's not really an algorithm because it changes every time. I'm just saying what I happen to do then. That orange piece is now over there. Okay, so I'll undo all that at the end. But now we're going to say green up to this white, to the orange, back to the green. So I'll do my corner turn. I'll now put the orange there with my face turns. Now I'll turn my corner back into position and then undo the face turns. What did I have to do? Well, that yellow has come from there. Okay, so that's all done. And now, of course, that yellow was brought up as a setup move to get the orange from here to here. So now I want to go and place it back. All right, so all is well. The oranges are all done. The greens, I've got 2 there to do. The reds are all done, and the blues, I've got 2 up the top to do as well. So 6 more to go, and I would try and get the greens if I can. Notice that there is a green sitting there which can place onto that white piece, so let's do that one. That's placed, turn the corner back. Okay, so that's done. I've got another green, but I've got no greens up the top. I've only got a blue. Can I use that blue? Yeah, I definitely can. It's going to be connected with this piece here. So once again, I'm going to bring it over to the back first. Like so. And I'll undo all that at the end. Okay, so now the white's going to here, that white's going to the blue, which will come back to there. So it's a corner turn first. Now I'll put the blue on. Undo the corner turn. Now I feel like I've just done something really stupid here, which may or may not be the case. It's probably extremely likely. Maybe not. That yellow is what's thrown me, but I think that's because that came from the bottom when I moved that over. Let's just have a check. All the yellows except that one are back, so that's good. That blue is in position. All the reds are there. Maybe I didn't. Miracle has happened. I have not done something stupid. Let's proceed. Undo that setup, which was right at the start. Let's see where we're at. Yep, that looks good. 1 green, 2 oranges, 1 blue. Okay, life moves on. All the stuff up here are white, so I've got this blue that goes to the orange, which comes back here, and a green that goes to the orange there. That's essentially what's happening. So I'm basically going to have to take one of these out now. So perhaps I'll just take this orange out and put it there and just replace it with a white one. Okay, that orange is now free to go place somewhere, which will be in this blue position here. Turn that up and now put it on. Okay, that orange is in. That's freed the blue, which now needs to come back to this position. But as before, it can't be on this particular edge because I'm turning that up. So I just want to take it across to here. Now I can go ahead and move that blue into the required position. Turn the corner back down. We go, and the yellow reminds me that I need to undo my initial setup moves. And that should just leave that green and the orange that need to do some swapping. So let's move this green over to there, or in fact to that position there. So white to green, I'll do face turns first. Move its position up, undo the face turns, and position back down. Now I can put the green into that orange position and release the orange. Okay, and the last piece is this orange, so I'll go white to orange to white. Turn up the corner, try not to destroy the puzzle. Okay, now bring that orange piece back. And put the corner back. Let's see if that's achieved what we wanted. All the oranges, all the greens, all the reds, all the blues. Yes, it has. Okay, that's the circle wings, the circle edge wings done and dusted. Well, the next stage of the solve is to solve the little circle edges here to complete all of the circle faces. Now, the one thing we can't do is when we're doing this algorithm is to turn the white or the yellow faces. So the algorithm is really a corner piece series, but instead of turning the left and right faces like that, I turn the left and right corners like that. So I like to do the whites and the yellows first because the others are very straightforward after that. So I would just have a look here and just find a yellow or a white. There's a yellow piece here, which I'd like to place. Now, these pieces are going to travel to those positions. I can either make it travel here or I can make it travel here, depending on which way I turn. So as an example, let's say that I would like to make this yellow travel to a yellow position. I've got a couple of options. One is that I could turn that corner up as a setup and put it there. The other option is I see that that yellow could go to there and I could turn this corner and now have it traveling that direction up to meet it. I might do that. So I've got the red going to here, which will place nicely. I've got the blue coming across to here, which will also place nicely, and that yellow will place correctly. So even though I'm just trying to do the yellow, I've actually managed here to do 3 pieces, which is always good. So I've got the pieces set up. They're going across the face from left to right, and that tells me that what I need to do is an upper turn clockwise first and then a right corner away from me. And upper turn anti-clockwise in the left corner away. And I continue by sort of undoing what I've done, just the same as in a standard corner piece series. Okay, that is all done, and you can see very clearly the yellow's in, the red's in, the blue's in. I'll just undo that setup that I had, and that's lovely. Nothing else of importance has been touched there. By the way, the reason that I don't want to turn the yellow or the white face is not because it'll muck anything up, it's because it will achieve absolutely nothing. No pieces will be moved. So no point doing it, just a waste of time. Okay, here's a yellow on the green face. I'd like to get it down to there, and I'll just jump across down to the yellow, and that orange is then going across to there. So because of that, I would like to say, well, could I get an orange position there, or could I potentially get a green piece there which will come up to there? I'll have a look for either. There's no obvious green pieces. What about an orange position to go over to there? I actually can do it. It's kind of, it's not too bad. So I'm going to turn a setup to put the orange position there, which I can then move into that third piece position. That's now an orange position. So I'll do the green and I'll do that orange. Sorry, I'll do the yellow and I'll do that orange as well. So this, again, a zero face, so that's good to turn. All done. That's complete. That's done. I'll undo the setups. Now, I did say I'll do the yellows and the whites first and then continue with the others. So I won't go through all of them, but I will do one piece which does the mirror of this algorithm. So let's find something that might be useful. Yeah, why not? Okay, this white piece I'm going to make go down to here. This white piece will go across and then the orange will come up. So this time the piece movement is the opposite. Of course, am I achieving anything? Yes, I'm placing another white piece in this face, which is always good. So because I'm going from right to left across the front of the cube, I want to this time turn the upper face anti-clockwise and turn my left corner away from me. All done. There were no setups there that I can remember, so I now have two of those whites done. I'm going to continue working through these and I'll cut back in with the last two or three. All right, we've got three to go here. I've got the orange that needs to go to there, the green needs to go over here, and that red needs to come back to here. So the setup that I've thought about is I don't really like having yellow or white faces at the front because it means sometimes they don't turn where I want them to turn, or they actually take pieces away from where I want them to be. But I think in this case it's going to be okay. So I've got the orange there. I'm firstly going to move the orange position up to there, and then I've got to work out how to get the red to here. Well, I think if I turn that up like that, now so far that is only two setup moves, by the way, so that's easy enough to remember. Then I can bring it down like that. So I've just got to remember the piece movement, which is orange to green to red. So I'm going that direction. I've got a zero face as my upper face and I'm turning anti-clockwise. Now that has completed the move. Things actually look pretty good there. Let's undo that, undo that, undo that, and we should see that the entirety of every circle is now completely completed. So they will stay like that as we move on with the rest of the solve. Well, the next stage is to reduce the big edges or the outer edges. And I'm going to begin by looking at this pair because it's already made. That's actually the first thing that I'm trying to do is make a pair. So now that that is made, I want to turn that into a triplet. Now, what I've discovered is that it's easiest if you have the white and the yellow top and bottom, whether it's like that or like that, doesn't matter. But I want to be turning, if I can actually, I want to turn a piece from the top face down to the central layer, because then I can easily turn the central layer to replace it with another one. So I've got two options here. The first option is that I turn this down to this position. The second option is I turn it across to there, which is still okay to do. So I'm going to look for the other red-green piece, which is here, and just see whether it's easy enough to put that piece into that position correctly oriented. And what I mean is, when I turn it down, it's got green on the orange face. That's what it needs to have. So green on the orange face. Well, if I cycle this whole triplet, which contains this piece, up like that, it'll come around and it should have green on the orange face. So I'm going to firstly move that into its correct position. And again, I want to almost always be turning these middle zero faces only. Okay, so I've moved that into position. Now what? Now I'm going to turn this down to match it with its other piece to form the triplet, and now replace that triplet with any other piece that is not yet done. And that's why this is now really simple to do, because I can turn all of these middle layers. I do the full 4 turns in order to get all the circle parts back to where they belong. Now, that being done, I return the corner to keep those circle parts correct. There's my newly made triplet. Pretty straightforward. So let's see if we can go and find or make another pair, just to go from the first part. I'm essentially looking at any of these middle edges up here and just seeing, is there some way I can bring them down to here to match with something. So if I see an orange white, I'm looking, is there an orange? Oh yes, there is. Will that come down correctly? In this case, no, it won't. You can see that's not matched correctly there, so I'll keep moving. It's a blue orange. There's no blue oranges there. Green orange. No obvious ones. So did I check the white orange or the green yellow? I haven't checked. That I can't remember. There is a green yellow there, and this time when I turn it down, you see that it matches perfectly. So that is the obvious thing to do to make that pair. Now I want to replace that with something that's not yet done. In other words, not with that piece. I don't want to disrupt that. I'll replace it with this one. Undo that corner turn. Which direction did I go? That direction there. There's the pair that I just made. There's the other triplet safe and sound. Now I've got a choice whether I firstly turn this up to here, move it around to get it up to the top, or just have a look and see if there's a green yellow that I can match it with up the top. There is a green yellow there, but I feel like it potentially is going to be the wrong one. Yeah, it is, even if I flip it over there. Let's find the other one. Is that it? No, that's the one I just looked at, I think. Okay, back to where I'm started. That's the one I saw. Oh my goodness, I am more than stupid. That's actually the only green-yellow piece, because that's what I'm trying to match it with. Okay, I'd edit that out, but it's probably good for the world to know how stupid I am. All right, let's get this green-yellow into position. So the first thing that I might do is consider what would happen if I brought this piece up to there so that I could then turn it across. That's actually really nicely oriented. So that tells me, you know what, that's the right sort of thing to do on this occasion. How do I get it up to there? I don't want to turn the white face. So in this case, what I'll do is a down, down, up, up, cycling this to here, this to here. Again, as long as I use these central faces, I don't disturb any circle pieces. Okay, now I can match the green-yellow pair up with the green-yellow. That's done. How do I replace it? Well, I can turn it down to here and then replace it with something else, or I can go this direction. So I'll replace it with that piece. So that's basically going to be front face turn, and then bring that down, and then undo, undo, all done. Return that corner. Now there's the green yellow I just made, there's the red green I just made, and you'll notice that that magically created another pair. That's not that uncommon. That's the sort of thing that I'm looking at. So I would go ahead now and find the red white piece for that. Well, I won't take you through all of these, but I will definitely come back in the last probably 3 or 4, because it does get a little more interesting then. Okay, I've got 4 to go. I'm working on the 4th to last one, this orange yellow, which when I get that done, that'll be 3 to go. So I'm just looking at how that's going to attach to this thing here. And I can kind of see that if I was to put it up there, that would then turn nicely into position. Now, I can either just do that as a setup, and in fact, that's all I really need to do, is just do that as a setup initially, so that I can turn that onto its triplet and now replace it with this one in the same manner as I would normally do. Okay, so that's done. Now I can undo that corner turn, and you can see that there will now turn back into position, that setup move. The orange yellow is safely tripleted over there. Okay, so that should leave me 1, 2, 3. Just double checking. Yeah, I think that's the only ones. White, green, orange, blue, and white, blue. Okay, now it's a little bit trickier with these last 3 on the Venus puzzle than some others, because what we're trying to do here is make pairs of pieces, and I don't have any pairs yet. So the first thing I might attempt to do is just find one of them. So for example, I look to turn that white green down, but that doesn't match. That's no good. Can I do a blue orange up to there? No. What about a white blue over to here? Nothing really seems to work. So what I might then try is, what would happen if I... No, even that is no good. So it's initially a matter of setting something up the way that you want it to happen. And in that case, again, what I kind of see is that if I turn that as a setup, then I would be able, in theory, to turn that white green on, and that would be nice. But because I'm down to the last 3, I don't just want to do setups and risk losing my place here. What I really want to do is move this whole piece up to here, but I don't want to dislodge this one in the process. So I also can't use the yellow or the white face. So I'm going to just turn it 1 turn as a setup, and now move it down to here using these 3 pieces. Okay, that's moved it. If I undo that setup, you'll see that I've actually moved that exactly where I want it to be, but I now have no setups to think about. So I can then move that white green onto there to form a pair. The next question is, how do I store that pair? I've only got one other piece that I can play with. Now that's not done, so I don't have to worry about the blues there, but this is the sort of thing that I would do if I wanted to replace this with that. I would say I can't do it on the yellow face. What I can do is turn them both onto the green face here, swap, and then return those pieces. And the last thing, because I did the swap, I also want to return or turn the front face again. I apologize for all the trouble I'm having with these faces today. Now, that has safely stored the green whites over there. I'm going to undo that corner turn and see what's what. So I at least have 1 pair, and I actually now have another pair. And again, that's kind of magically happened, which is fantastic. What I'm aiming for now, before I finish it off, is a pair of the 3rd color. So I've got white green, I've got white blue. The 3rd color is the orange blue. So that's now the priority. How can I make this turn over to an orange blue piece? Well, that at the moment will turn with blue on top. Now, can I get the blue on top? Not super easily. What if I turn it this way? Can I get a blue on top? I actually can. I can get this piece to flip over, and the piece that's right near the corner will flip over to there when I do that. So that's a great initial setup. Shouldn't say the word setup, initial move. Okay, that's good. Now let's see whether the other piece is going to be in the correct position for what we want to do. What I've got to remember is that when I make this pair, I want to replace it with this third piece, and I want to keep the white blues together. In order to do that, those white blues have to be in those two positions there so that when the corner turns back, they stay together. Okay, so if that's the case, and I'm going to use this orange face to turn them around, it's the top two positions that I'm interested in. Now you can see that when this comes down, they will be in the bottom two. When they turn across the face, they'll be in the top two. That is fantastic. So what that means is that I'm all set up now. I can make the orange-blue pair. I can go ahead and swap with the white-blue pair. Undo that and just turn the orange face again to put everything back. Now you'll notice there's my orange-blue pair intact. Now I turn that corner back and the white-blue has remained together. Now what's super important about all of that is that I now have 1, 2, 3 pairs of pieces. I don't have sort of weird flipped bits on pieces. The 3 pairs is what I want. I'm just about home with reducing this stuff. I now need to just consider, okay, how do I get the last lot done? Well, you can see the white-green is going to turn beautifully onto there. So then the question is, how do I make this piece into the correct position so that the orange blues land there? Well, let's consider. The first thing is, of course, because I'm turning that, I need the orange blues to land there. But the problem is, at the moment, if I end up doing something like move this down, then the orange blues come back to there, they are actually not going to be in the right position. They'll be broken. So that is not so good. The question is, can I do something differently to make that happen? Well, I certainly can, because this is such a nice setup. I want to stick with that if I possibly can. So the question then is, how can I get the orange blue to go to there? What I would try initially, that's a very simple setup to remember, so I'm not too concerned about that. That down face turn I can also do. And I now kind of have it in the right position. So again, setups are okay at the moment. I'll make that pair. The problem that I have is that at the moment, I'm going to be turning along white and yellow faces, which I don't want to do. So the last little thing I need to think is, okay, I am going to rotate this red face clockwise so that I can now turn along the side faces. So if I just undo all of that and consider what were the setups in what order, that's where I started. So that left two, I'm not going to bother remembering that. I've got a down. Then I turn the corner and then a front clockwise. All I care about is now replacing this over there. Okay, so I can just do that in the normal fashion. The actual move is done. Let's undo the setups. It must be a front anti-clockwise, then the corner turn, then my down prime, and the last one was this left turn. And you can see that I can't see any unmade reduced edges. That was one of them. I actually can't even remember what the other ones were, but I'm looking around going, well, everything's done. So that absolutely did work. As I said, it is a little bit trickier than normal because of this issue of not being able to flip pieces in place. In order to do that, we need 3 0 faces around a corner. We do not have that. So that potentially is the sort of thing that you might run into. And we are going to run into potentially, I just said potentially twice, maybe it'll really happen, the same sort of issue if we land with flipped edges soon. I might even make sure we land with flipped edges just to go through that. So the next stage of this solve is to now place the reduced edges. And we are certainly on the home stretch here. So in order to place the home, or the home stretch, in order to place the home stretches, I'm actually going delirious. I'm going to start with the white face as normal, and I just need to be careful that I only turn the side faces when I do the placement. So for example, this white blue needs to go up into that position. This is actually pretty good because I can turn its position down using a side face, put it onto its position using a side face, and then undo, undo. And you can see as long as I just use side face turns, it does not affect the circle edges. So that's the white blue in. The white red, I can sort of do whatever I like here. It doesn't really matter which direction I go, but I'm going to take it to the bottom face. And perhaps I should deal with the white green first. Is that a good idea? Not necessarily, because I actually prefer the white on the front here. So let's just take the white red over to here with an up, up, down, down. Okay, that white red, I can now do a little setup and I can repeat the same thing to get it up into that position. All right, that's done. Undo. So they've got two of them there. Let's have a look at the white green. It is now with the white on that sort of front rather than the down position. And I can once again cycle that through using side face turns. And that's why on this cube it's important to be able to do that. The last piece is the white orange, which is in place. So the first thing that I'll do is take it out of that position. Now I want to get the white up to the front, and to do that I'll flip it over going up, up, down, down. Now, if anyone's watched the whole thing, and you heard me say about 4 minutes ago, you can't flip things, and you've just seen me flip something there, I realise that could have been slightly confusing. What I mean is you can't flip two edges, two complete edges, both of them flipped in place. And I'm going to make sure that I do show exactly why that happens. One edge, absolutely no problem. We can do that. It's flipping two edges that is the issue. Okay, let's continue and get this white edge completed. Okay, there's my white cross, as it were. That's all done. Let's turn it upside down. As is my custom, I'm going to go and place 3 middle layer edges, and I'm going to do it turning only middle face turns. That was nice. That just happened to place that one and that one. I'll take that. Now, let's say the green red. I need to put that there as a setup so that I can do a down, down, up, up. That is now in place, and I'll undo my setup to keep the circle edges where they belong. Alrighty, we're down to the last middle layer edge. That's the position of the yellow face. I want to try and place the yellow orange and the yellow green. Let's see if I can do that. The yellow green looks to be flipped, not as simple as it may appear. Let's firstly try and, I might put it down to the middle layer and just see if that allows any kind of help. Now, the yellow green, normally I would just turn this yellow face like that, put it on, undo, undo, but you can see it's taken the blue piece with it. So what I need to do instead of turning that yellow face is treat this as the position, do a setup move like that, and now say I'm going to involve these 3 pieces and do a down, down, up, up, which will put the yellow green where I want it to go. but it will not disturb circle edges. So when I undo that setup move, everything's back to where it should be. There's the yellow-green. Yellow-orange, I got the same sort of problem here. I can't flip it over. I mean, I can flip it over, but it's going to be flipped, if that makes sense. So what I will first do is put it down into the middle layer. And then, same sort of thing, I'll turn its position across and now do a down, down, up, up to place that yellow-orange where it belongs. Undo the setup, and I've got those two back edges done. Now, that's going to leave me with one of a few scenarios, but I'm super happy because the one that I was hoping would happen has happened. And that is a swap of two edges. Don't worry about the fact that they're flipped. That's going to have to be dealt with later if it occurs, but the more important thing is to deal with the fact that we have swapped edges. Now, ordinarily, we would just say, let's turn the yellow face one turn and resolve. I can't do that because the circle bits are out. So what I'm going to need to do is actually turn a side face one turn and then resolve using the yellows. So as an example here, let's use this yellow face and I'll turn the side face one turn like that. Doesn't matter which direction as long as it's a single turn. That's actually fixed that swapped edge problem now. And I need to go and replace the various circle edges using the yellow or the white face. So as an example, I can see that the white circle edges belong where the blues are. In other words, the first thing that I would like to do is cycle the whites to the blues. I'll use the yellow face, so I'll turn it up and I'll say, well, I can use this yellow piece as well. There's my 3 cycle. So I'll carry that out first. Now you might say, didn't I turn this side face again? Yes, but it was only as a setup. So I undo that setup. It's back to where it should be. The white, I do know my colors. That white is now replaced. I've now got to consider the other circle edges here. What have I got? I've got yellows, I've got a blue and a green. So let's firstly replace the green, which is here. Okay, that's done. And now finally this blue needs to come down to there. All right, that's back into position. You can kind of see not only is all of the middle and the bottom done, but all the circle edges are back as well. Now, I don't remember which was my middle layer. I think it was this one that we were working on. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was because we had the yellow-green and the yellow-orange done. So once again, I'm now going to move that yellow-orange over to there. This is not too bad because I can flip it over there and then flip it back again. So let's firstly flip it and then do a setup and flip it again. Undo the setup. Those two edges are back in position. Now, when you've done that, you'll notice, hey, look at that. We've now got a 3 cycle. That is fantastic. Remember, we had a swap of 2 edges. When you fix that, you're either going to get this sort of thing, where it's a 3 cycle, or you could have them solved, or you could have 2 flipped edges. Now, I am deliberately going to try and create 2 flipped edges here because I really want to show how to deal with that because it's not simple. So ordinarily I would go cycle these things home by, in fact, I can't even really do it anyway. I would turn that to there. So I'd turn the yellow face and then the red face, but I don't really want to turn the yellow face. So let's instead of that say, how can I get, let's get the blue-red solved. I'll do a down, down, up, up. Now that gets the blue-red solved, and you can see the other two are not actually swapped. They are flipped in place. Okay, so this is the procedure that I use for flipping 2 edges. It's actually not that hard. It's just thinking it through what is going on. When I would normally do it, I would start with a down, down, up, up. And I'm going to do that now. So down, down, up, up. Then I would say, well, I need to move my blue yellow back into position. However, I can't just move it directly up. I've got to bring it by turning the position to there first and then turning it onto its position. Now this is exactly where we were about a minute ago, and I said, oh, that's not going to work anyway. So here's the thing. I've got to say, I want to move yellow red to blue red to yellow blue. And I'm going to take it over here and do it on the side faces. So yellow red to blue red to yellow blue. So what I would initially do is say, what if I did a setup like that, and maybe one like that, and just saw what would be happening here. Does that help me? I need to go, let's undo, and just remember, I need to go yellow red to blue red to yellow blue. So I'll do that, and then one more. That's actually pretty good. Let me explain why. Just remembering that to there to there. So I've done an up, a left, and an up. I've done an ulu. And I'm trying to make this one go to here, this one go to here, this one go to here. Now the nice thing is, it doesn't matter whether I start by turning this to there or I start by turning this to there, as long as that piece movement retains the same direction. And also you'll now see that I have two on the front face. So that means I can carry out a 3 cycle by turning this face and then bringing this down, which will turn the other side face. So now that that is set up, I'll carry out the actual sequence. 4 moves, that's done. And I now want to undo my setup moves, which were U, L, U. So it's now U prime, L prime, U prime. And you'll notice that those have been put into place correctly. So just a little bit more work there for this Venus puzzle. It does not occur on the Mercury. It does not occur on the Earth or the crazy grills or anything like that. As we get more involved here, we're going to encounter more things. So that completes almost the whole of the solve. The only thing left to do now is to solve the corners. And you can do that however you like. I'm going to use the corner piece series. I'll just show one here and then come through to the end. So yellow, blue, red, just going to roll along the back there, or the black, whatever you want. And this should remind you of the sequence that we used to place the little tiny circle edges, because it is really the same thing, but instead of turning left and right corners, I'm turning left and right faces. You can see that's now done. I'm going to continue working through them. And I'm now down to the last 3 here. Nothing is super obvious. I've got the blue, yellow, orange that can go across to there, or I could turn it up and bring it to there and just have a look at this last piece and see how I can get that set up. It's not super easy, so I'll do that, and I'll think the last piece, so we're going across the diagonal, that's going to roll to there. So I think, well, the red sticker is going to roll to there, which means the third piece in the red face needs to be put there before I start. In other words, that white sticker needs to go there in order to have these not be misoriented at the end. So what can I do as a setup? That's easy to remember. All I need to do now is turn this out the way, bring it up, put it back. So I'm going to do a front prime. What's that? A right prime and a front. Okay, and we're now ready to cycle those last 3 home. Got to undo those setups. There was a front prime, there was some sort of right, there was some sort of front, and we are finished. And you will note, not only are we solved, but there is no single twisted corner. And the reason for that is that we dealt with that and made sure there was not going to be any right near the start of the solve. So that is why that has not occurred now, which is a very good thing. But that is the Crazy Grills Venus. As always, thanks for watching.